Oh, he loves the fire and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I am your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. Even you're chilling at home, watching us live on YouTube. And of course, all the lovely people on Instagram as well who are supporting our next guest, because I do have on the show, Michael Andrews going to be on the show. You might know him as Dive with Mikey, and the episode is called Dive with Mikey on the halftime show. So if you do miss the show, don't kick yourselves. Head over to our YouTube channel, Pulse 95 Radio, and you will find out a lot more about the episode and him. Originally from South Africa, Michael had lived in many countries across the globe. His story is very inspirational and actually very, very motivating as well. He moved back to the UAE 8 years ago, and then in a part psychology in the UAE, and about 2.5 years ago experienced headaches and spouts of anxiety. November 2021, he's been taken out of the university by an ambulance, and later on finding out he has a tumor in his head that has to be removed. If you want to know more about that, I guess you're going to have to listen to the rest of the show, because I have him here on the show, on the halftime show, in the heart of Sharjah on Pulse 95 Radio. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to have some crazy music and a fantastic guest on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
Oh, he loves the fire and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
Sure is that time, and the vibe is right here on Pulse 95 Radio in the heart of Sharjah with your boy Omar Duri, and we are talking with a fantastic guest today. Let me welcome him to the show. Michael, welcome to the show, man.
And what's up? Thank you so much for having me on board.
Hey, my pleasure. Listen, do you know how many people sent me a message with this? You don't know what you're getting yourself into, Omar. This is going to be great. And honestly, there's two of them. I've never met them before, obviously you coming on the show, but as soon as I announced you coming on, they were saying, hey, listen, buckle up for this one, so no pressure.
No, that's fine.
Mikey, when did you move out here to the UAE?
So I've actually lived here in two sections. The first one was when I was, how old was I? I think I was 11. I moved directly from South Africa with my parents.
Okay.
My parents actually worked for the Alpha Team organization.
Okay.
And they were both in logistics. And then, I spent 5 years when I was younger. I went to Cambridge High School.
Okay.
Which is in Garhout.
Yeah, my cousin went to that.
Back then it was... I didn't get the best education, but if I was ever to choose another school to study at, I would choose the same school, because I learned so much about people.
Interesting.
And it was very...
It's very diverse.
There were a lot of gang-orientated people, but I loved it. I literally, all of the valuable lessons, not all, but a lot of valuable lessons that I have in life come from being in that school.
And that's interesting that you say valuable lessons in life, because your life's been pretty extraordinary. Don't be modest now.
I've been lucky enough to travel the world.
Okay.
But I've never traveled. Well, it's always been difficult.
Yeah.
But it's been a challenge, because every new country I stepped into, I didn't know anything about it. And the whole purpose of traveling was to open my eyes and to learn more.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it from books. I wanted to do it from my own eyes.
Interesting. And through all these things, and I'm sure the listeners want to know more about this, with all these things that you've done and all these different occupations that you've had, where do you classify yourself? Like, when someone asks you the question you asked me out there, what do you do?
Where do I classify myself? That's it. That is a really good question, because I am trying to find myself.
Okay.
And there are two things that I love about people. One is human behavior, as you mentioned. I think that's fascinating. And one is the language of the brain, which is psychology. I think if you can not necessarily understand people, but the more you learn about human behavior or the way the mind works, the more you are able to understand yourself and understand other things that are going on in the world. One of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is actually studying animal behavior.
Okay.
And that in some way helps me to understand humans a little bit more.
Yeah. What are the similarities?
So, for example, this is going to sound funny, but I tell everybody, if you're ever to put me next to an animal, put me next to a dog, because I have all the same characteristics as a dog.
Okay.
Dogs are loyal to the bone. They're extremely humble. They're very passionate, empathetic. And I try to always relate myself or put myself in the same scenario or act in the same way that a dog would act in certain scenarios. And I think I've learned a lot of lessons in life actually from seeing dogs or spending a lot of time with dogs.
But animals are also very susceptible to our behavior.
Yes.
Through fear, through happiness, through excitement.
Through anxiety.
Yes. Do they respond to you differently because you have that sense of empathy?
That's a very good question. So actually, I spend a lot of my time in Ras Al Khaimah at an animal rescue center there.
Okay.
And the main reason I do it is just to show the dogs that I'm there to give my time to them. So with each different dog that comes out, I think a dog will always react differently to the type of energy that you're projecting.
Yeah.
So what I try to do with any dog is I go into the cages and I just sit there. And I give the dog a few minutes to try work out the reason that I'm there. And after a while, the dog begins to realize, this guy's just here to sit in here with me. And I see a different side to the dog. He's not trying to be protective. Because a lot of the dogs that do end up in the centers, obviously, they've had a bit of a rough ride. And I just want to show them, like, hey, look, sometimes a human just wants to sit with you.
Very interesting. Your name on Instagram, I'm plugging you right now.
No, that's cool, man. Ask any question you want.
Is Dive with Mikey.
Yes.
Why Dive with Mikey?
So, I actually started diving in 1999.
Okay.
My first dive was in Corfachan on the East Coast.
Nice.
And actually, the best dive of my life is from a place there called Martini Rock.
Okay.
But that was back in 1999. It was untouched area and it was beautiful. And diving is something that has allowed me to travel and work around the world. And most recently, I kind of decided, you know what, I want to follow what I used to love, because I'm still studying at university.
Okay.
I was like, how can I be happy in my work, but then also study at university and I have a flexible timing?
Yeah.
I was like, Dive with Mikey, let's go. I changed my Instagram name to Dive with Mikey, and then everything started moving forward until my lovely adventure.
Okay, and we're going to find out about that lovely adventure straight after the break. Great segue, by the way. You've done this before. Okay.
So you got good questions.
We're going to be right back after this. We're going to play one of my favorite tracks as well. Love one, TT as well. And this is a remix. Shout out to Sam as well in the background, who's doing the thing on the music. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere, folks. See you in a bit.
Oh, he loves the fire, then what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. If you're just tuning in, hey, listen, this is going to be a good one. I'm telling you. Buckle up for this, because on the hour, we've got Michael Andrew on the show, otherwise known as Dive with Mikey. So let's dive straight into it. Mikey, talk to me about, just before the segment finished, you dropped that cliffhanger and said, the adventure.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the adventure. So what happened?
So just to go directly to it, I was giving actually a talk in university on the benefits of animal-assisted therapy and how it can add value to therapists who are treating patients.
Yeah.
And I was standing there and I was like, I don't feel too good. And I said to my professor, can I sit down? I don't want to answer any more questions. And he said no. But he's a great professor. He's like my granddad. And next thing I knew, I woke up, there was an ambulance there. And then I was on the way to the hospital. All I remember are people walking around me when I kept waking up and blacking out. And then I ended up in hospital. Then I woke up and they'd taken a couple of scans on my brain. And no one was specifically telling me what was going on. And I was like, okay, so luckily my friend Yusuf came along and he was like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. But everyone's looking at me in a strange way. And anyways, long story short, they came back literally 2 minutes later and said, you have a brain tumor. And I was like, what? And what I would say is that nothing in your life will ever prepare you for hearing the words, you have a brain tumor. Because everything just stood still. And then they showed me this picture and I had this big white circle in my brain and that was the tumor. And everything just started to go slow as I started to process it.
Yeah. And again, like you said, nothing will prepare you for that. Were there any signs, or any kind of hints or anything that had led you to then go, that makes sense, that's why I feel like? Because for those people that are in the same situation or something similar to that, is there anything to look out for at that stage?
Yeah, so I would say before they told me that, I had no idea I had a tumor. For the past 2.5 years, I've had a lot of headaches because I have quite a hectic life. I do a lot of work. So I just always put the headaches down to stress. And then I do remember about 2.5 years ago, I had to go to the hospital to talk to the psychiatrist there because I started to feel anxious all the time. But I realized that the feeling of anxiety was in my body. It wasn't so much in my brain.
Okay.
What I was sharing with the psychiatrist is that I feel like there's something in my brain that's forcing part of my brain to pump out this negative energy around my body.
Gotcha.
And it was like that every day. And I was like, that's not right. So then they gave me medication. And when they gave me medication, I was like, I didn't feel embarrassed that I had to take medication for anxiety, because what I was actually trying to do is make myself stronger, and being at the psychiatrist was making me stronger. And I was like, okay, well, this is working. And then I stopped the medication because it's not something that I wanted to do. It was more that I wanted to improve my health. So when I felt that I was getting better, I thought, okay, maybe I can stop. And then just one day, that I had a seizure, and I had seizures before, but they always put it down to panic attacks.
Well, can I ask you, sorry, about this psychiatrist? It takes a lot to go see someone. I think like we mentioned this off air.
Yes.
There's a taboo about it.
Yeah.
But that strength of character to be able to go and approach something, did that come from you, or did that come from like someone close, or did you feel like you knew enough about it to go see someone?
I knew enough about myself that I knew something wasn't right.
Okay.
And I remember when I was a child, whenever I had to go to the doctors, my mother had to literally drag me there because I was like, I don't need to go there. My leg will grow back. But for this, I know nothing about the brain in terms of physiology. So I was like, I think it's better to go to see the professionals to see what they say. And even though I was studying psychology, I guess even in the short while I'd been involved in psychology, it taught me enough that I should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I like the word that you used, taboo. It's actually when I was going there, at no point did I feel that I should feel that I shouldn't be going there. I shouldn't feel embarrassed, because what I was actually trying to do is make myself better by sharing a very deep story with someone I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I felt, in some way, I felt brave.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you do every day.
Absolutely. Is it easier or harder to share with someone that won't judge you, that isn't in your circle?
When it comes to health professionals, I think it's easier to share stories than sometimes even with people who are in your circle.
Yeah.
Because you know what the health professional is there to do. And you're not, what I knew for myself is I wasn't the only person coming to this health professional.
Yeah.
So I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And in some way, I wanted to first understand what was going on in my body before I started to tell the people around me. Because once people around me knew that I had a tumor, people started
acting different?
Yeah, they were not acting different, they were freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, for example, my mother, God bless her, when she found out, her world was almost turned upside down, because my uncle went through the same thing, through the exact same thing.
That's
and
tough.
After the operation, many years ago, this is 25 years ago, unfortunately, he never made it out. So when when my mother found out that her eldest son was going through this.
Yeah.
There was a lot of emotion involved.
Yeah.
And at some point, I even had to push everyone back because there was too much stuff coming in, and I was trying to process it all, as well as keeping myself calm because I hadn't been in surgery yet.
Yeah. And you said something earlier. You said that you realized it wasn't in the brain; it was coming from the body.
Yes.
What do you do to kind of train your mental fitness so that it doesn't affect the brain?
Well, this is it. From the anxiety point of view, the anxiety wasn't coming from me feeling anxious. What I shared with the doctors is that I feel like there is something in my brain that's producing a chemical that's causing my body to feel anxious.
Yeah.
If I think about it, I don't feel anxious. But if I share to you how my body's feeling, it's the same symptoms that someone who is anxious all the time feels.
Interesting.
And then once I found out where the tumor was, I actually found out that it was a supercellular tumor that was pushing against my pituitary gland, which is the gland that pretty much controls all the chemicals, all the emotions in your body.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. So when I actually told the person who was going to operate on me, he was like, "Oh yeah, that all makes sense." And I was like, "Oh, if only I had come to you 2 years ago."
Yeah.
But either way, I'm still really happy towards the process that was involved before getting there, because I learned so much, even though it was hard.
Yeah, it's the journey that, and again, we've obviously just met now. I've obviously spoken a little bit beforehand, but the journey that you go on, the endurance, the mental endurance that you've been through, a lot of people would have broke down a long time ago, but your calmness seems to be something that is very evident and very infectious. Does gut health have an influence on the brain, being that it's the second brain, so to speak, from people?
Does health have
gut health? So
gut health.
Yes.
Every single part of your body has an effect on it.
Okay.
When I was before the whole adventure or the operation, there were days when, for example, my stomach was feeling bad, and that would affect how mentally strong I was that day. So I would have to try to get past that. There were days when my muscles were sore, so again that would affect my mental health. So there is no brain without a body, and there's no body without a brain. So what I always tried to do, while I had to take the medication for the anxiety, is I always just try to keep calm. And if my mind wasn't strong enough to keep calm, I'd go and find physical ways to keep calm, such as doing boxing. Boxing is actually one of the things that helped me with my panic attacks when I was younger.
Amazing.
I started boxing and they stopped like that.
There you go. Okay.
Then I would go on walks. I would go running. I would go to the gym. Because sometimes if you've had a heavy day at work, it's your mind that's tired, it's not your body. Correct. And I always had to find that balance.
Have you always been an athlete?
I wouldn't say I'm from South Africa, so I grew up playing sports. I mean, my mother was the assistant manager of my football club, so whenever the team had to run once around the pitch after training, I always had to run twice. So everyone was like, "Oh, it's so easy, your mum's the coach." I was like, "No, it's not, man." Imagine trying to sit at home, watch TV, and your mother's like, "You have a game tomorrow, shouldn't you be doing something?"
Wow. Okay.
No, but I really appreciate all those things that happened to me, because it just allowed me to almost get past what happened to me over the past few months.
Yeah, amazing. I'm enjoying this. I almost forgot we were on radio. Shout out to Benoit as well, who connected the dots. Really appreciate you, bro. And Mikey, we're gonna be right back after the break. We're gonna keep the amazing music going on, coming through. Summer Walker, Summer? No? Okay. We'll be right back after this. See you in a bit.
Oh, he loves the fire, and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. And yes, Florin, all the way from New York. It is fascinating stuff. I promised you it was going to be a good show. And Hamda, what the hell are you doing coming this late? Thought I'd bust you out on radio. Nina, what's going on? Hope you're well as well. We got UK in the building. We got so many people from all around the world. Very, very blessed to have you guys spend the hour with me and dive with Mikey. Michael Andrew is here with me on the show today. Michael, great to have you on the show, man. You've definitely kept people on the edge of their seats, talking about the adventure, talking about being out in the UAE, talking about psychology, talking about animals, talking about how your brain and how your body. The title, man, you killed me with that title. that was great. But let's take it back a little bit. The operation, the surgery. For people that have never had that before, never had surgery, never faced that kind of position, what goes through your mind? How do you handle it? How do you deal with it? Talk to me about that kind of process.
Well, I'll start off by saying that I didn't think I was going to make it out of this. Mm-hmm. So going into the, waking up, going into the operation room.
Yeah.
In my mind, when I was checking into the hospital, I was checking into Emirates. I was going on a flight somewhere, and I was singing, I'm going on a jet plane, I don't know if I'll be back again.
Okay.
I was at peace with myself.
Yeah.
I was ready for what was going to happen. And I remember going into the operating theatre. I still don't know why they call it an operating theatre, but so I remember saying to the doctors, guys, thank you so much for bringing me this far. Whatever happens today, no regrets. I'm grateful and blessed for everything that's happened to me in life. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I was trying to do really is keep myself calm. Because everyone before it was, they were all trying to give me positive words and keep me encouraged. But I just needed a clear mind. So when I sat on that operation table, I wasn't thinking of anything. I said hi to everybody. And then I got the anesthesia and I woke up 8 hours later. And I woke up thinking, I made it. And then a split second later, it felt like some kind of thing had gone off in my head, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my life. But in that moment, I asked my friend Khalifa, when I wake up, because what I was trying to do is always be on the funny side of it. I said, when I wake up, no matter what I say, what I do, I want you to film me on your phone.
Oh, so you actually told him to film?
Yeah. I said, I want you to ask me the most ridiculous questions, because I wanted to step into that positive environment.
Right,
and he did.
Okay.
And I did get mad at him.
Okay. Do you still have this footage?
I do, yeah, actually.
Okay,
I do.
We've got to check that out. Okay.
It's funny because he asked me, do you know what your name is? I was like, I don't know my name. And then he's like, do you know my name? I was like, yeah, Khalifa. Because when he asked me my name, I couldn't photograph it. I didn't have a photo of myself in my head.
Okay, interesting.
And
but
my
you knew
recall
his
system.
Name.
Sorry?
But you knew his name.
Yeah, because I knew his face.
You could see him. Okay,
he's Khalifa. Like I would never know another person as Khalifa. So.
Yeah.
And then I was asking the lady or the nurse for medicine. I was like, lady, please, I'm in pain. And then the doctor came in. I got some medicine that helped to take away the pain. And then it was just waking up and letting my body wake up. And I was trying to stand up because I come from a sporting background. If you fall down, you get back up, right?
Yeah.
And the lady or the nurse was like, no, sit down. I was like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, Michael, please just sit down because you just let your body and mind connect. And I said, okay. That was the first sort of hour or two after the operation.
You said that body and mind connect. How important is it to connect your body and mind?
From this operation, there is no way that I would have got through this without the strength of the body and the focus of my mind. Because when I woke up, it was my brain saying something's wrong, I'm in so much pain. And then my body saying, it's fine, we've been in pain before, we can get through this. And then once my body was saying, oh, I'm too tired, I can't stand up, it was my mind saying, you can do this, you've done this before. So it was literally a conversation between them without me being involved, trying to encourage each other. And I know I'm using that sort of terminology, but it was my brain encouraging my body to stand up and my body telling my brain that I could keep going. So without having a strong mind and a strong body, it would have been quite difficult to get through it.
Are there levels to muscle memory? Because a lot of the things you've mentioned is coming down to you being an athlete, coming down to your genetics, your mom, your family, the way that you grew up. Is it down to muscle memory?
I would say 100% yes. But it's not just about being an athlete. It's if you're physically active.
Yeah.
If you go walking or cycling every day.
Yeah.
I think using the word athlete assumes that everyone is like at a really high level. I'm not at a high level. I just like to play sports a lot. At one point, there was a doctor, the physiotherapist, he came into the room, and they had to do a physical examination on me. And he said, okay, I want you to lift one leg up. I was lying in the bed, and I lifted my left leg up. He said, whoa. I said, what? He said, no, nothing. He said, I want you to lift your arm up. And I lifted my arm up. He said, whoa. I said, what? What are you doing? And he's like, no, usually like there's some sort of things that are going to inhibit you to lift your leg up or your arm. I was like, hang on a second. No one told me this.
Yeah.
And so I think having the knowledge about my body, knowing what my body can do, helped me to answer the movement or the questions of the physiotherapist, because I kind of understood what he was asking. Usually, to lift up an arm is quite easy. To lift up a leg is easy. But to understand why he was asking me allowed me to put that sort of thought into action, or the motion into action.
It's so interesting hearing you say that. When you're talking about these things, and I'm thinking about all the people that are facing their own challenges, getting back on the road to recovery. What advice would you give them?
The more you know about yourself, and the more you learn about what you're going through, not necessarily to scare yourself. People were telling me, you stop looking at videos of the operations and stuff like that. I wasn't trying to scare myself. I was trying to understand what I'm about to go through. So if at any point I felt that I was a little bit off balance, I had research that was going to help me to say, Michael, it's totally normal that you're going through this. I don't want to say that going through this has been easy. It's been 50% easy because my body has been there. But there is still a dark side of this, which comes at night, where my mind takes over.
Yeah.
And because I'm involved in sort of sports or being active, the day side of it is easy. Pretty much when I got home from the hospital, I was already trying to go outside and walk, even though the doctor said stay at home, because I live alone. I was like, yeah, but I know walking is going to help me clear my mind, and right now that's what I need. But when the nighttime came in the first few weeks, that was challenging, because there's nothing you can do. You know when you have a cramp in your leg?
Yeah.
You stretch out your leg, right?
Yeah.
When you have a cramp in your brain, there's nothing you can do. Except for me, it was walking, but at night I couldn't go out and walk. So I had to get through this step by step. Even now, when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, my body is resting, so my mind becomes more active, and it feels like the best way to explain it feels like there are ants walking around my brain, but it's because my brain's still recovering.
Yeah.
And so because I'm not using my body at night, my mind becomes a lot more aware of what's going on. And I have to see the funny side of it. I wake up in the morning and I laugh at the way my face is at the moment, because half of my face is still, I like to use the word paralyzed. My doctor doesn't. He likes to use the word. It just doesn't work just yet. But I have to laugh at myself, which sort of makes getting through the mental side of it a lot easier.
Fascinating. Okay, I have a question for you, but I'm going to wait till we get after the break.
Sorry if I took
No, hey, listen. Don't be sorry. We're going to take a quick break. We'll play some Afro B and T-Pain, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere, folks. We've got one more segment. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, he lifts the fire and what a goal!
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show, and if you're joining us, don't worry, catch all of our episodes on podcast, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, or if you prefer a visual, head over to our YouTube channel and check out Pulse 95 Radio. We got fantastic guests like my man here, Michael Andrew, aka Dive with Mikey, who you can catch the whole episode in your living room, man. It don't get better than that. Before we head to the Adhan prayer, Mike, I wanted to ask you something. You said something actually that got me thinking. You mentioned if you have cramp, you can just stretch it out. If you want to train physically, you go to the gym. But what if you want to train mentally? Where'd you go?
So actually, one trick I use to focus on things, as an example, is I read a book a few years ago called the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he talks about is try to picture a rose in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, and try to see how long you can focus on it, and try to do that every single day. Because I'm actually quite bad at focusing, because I always have a million things in my brain. And funny enough, because of what's happened recently, I'm not able to have a million things in my brain anymore. So it's actually, I use the rose idea. I also, for memory, for example, I don't play cards, but I put cards on the table and I try to flip them over and try to remember where the cards are.
Okay.
I started with 4 cards when I first do it, and now I'm towards half a pack. So I'll pick up a card and I'll be able to figure them out a lot more quicker.
That's better than most. 30 seconds, Mikey. How do you reset?
I stand up and I walk away from the environment I'm in.
Nice.
That's it. I literally just stand up and walk away. So if I feel that, I'm scared, or something's going to happen, I just know, okay, if I put myself in a different environment and still feel the same way, then I have to figure that out. But generally, I just change the environment for myself.
Domino number 4, reset your environment.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, you did.
Very good.
Dude.
Very good. We'll take a quick break. Here's the Adhan prayer for Asr, but we'll be right back with a final extra segment.
Oh, he lifts the fire and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice! Wonderful!
It sure is that time. And if you're wondering, what is he doing an extra segment? This has never happened officially on the halftime show. Well, now he's set the bar high. Now every guest that comes on says, oh, well, he got 4 segments. Why don't I get a 4 segment? Mikey, it's been fantastic having you here, man. What a privilege to have you here. Listening to your story. You know, people also who are listening on Instagram, they're saying amazing episode. Tintin said amazing episode, guys. Benoit said I want to come as well and meet the team. So now you got people starting as well, which I'm going to get you and Benoit to come and meet the team. Actually, Benoit met the team. I took them to him for the breath work and ice bath. And what an experience, man.
So he wants to do it twice.
See what
I have to do it my first time first, man.
Speaking about all the amazing things you're doing, where can the listeners follow you?
So I only have one social media channel, and that is Dive with Mikey.
Okay.
I try to just keep everything on one platform. So
nice.
You'll probably see that there are a lot of different variations of myself on there as well.
Yeah, I like that. And anything coming up? I mean, you mentioned you do coaching, you meet people, you go and do talks. Is there anything coming up or more of that coming up in the near future?
At the moment, no, because what I'm trying to work towards. So this week I actually just started back in the gym.
Okay.
I've been going for a couple of weeks, but without training.
Yeah.
Just lifting up 1 kilo weights, just so I can start counting to get my brain working.
Right.
Because what I'm trying to work myself towards is running.
Okay.
Because running is such a great community in the UAE. In fact, I've met most of my really, really good friends through running here.
Okay.
And I just think one thing I'd actually quickly like to say is I think we're blessed for the amount of running tracks and cycle tracks here.
Oh, yeah.
Because running and cycling is such a grand community.
Yeah.
And for people, or the international people who are coming here, sometimes they can feel a little bit lonely here, but things like that are really helping to bring us together.
Yeah.
And if you want to come running with me, I'm going to start running on Jumeirah Beach Track.
Okay.
Or even in Sharjah soon, but mainly near Flag Island.
Right, gotcha.
Because I like Flag Island. I love Flag Island, actually. I have a lot of memories from there.
Okay.
But just be aware that I might walk the first K.
That's all right.
And I have to gradually get myself back into that.
Awesome. Well, listen.
That could fall out.
Hey, no, I'll catch it. Okay. Thank you so much, man. What a privilege having you on the show. Very, very inspiring. Just motivates people to the way you handled situations, the way you were calm, the way you are with animals as well as people. It's a testament to your character, and I'm very, very privileged to have the first time ever to have 5 segments on the halftime show is for you, man. So
thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
really
and I hope you enjoyed the show as well as I did.
I did, actually. I was a little bit nervous because obviously your experience is a lot grander than mine, so I was really excited. Because I love to learn. So thank you so much to yourself and to your team, and also to Ben for hooking this up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The episode hopefully will be out very, very soon. We'll share that with everyone as well, and that's full time on the halftime show. That's when the whistle goes off. And coming up next, we've got more shows on the halftime show on Pulse 95 Radio. Stay tuned for more on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adouri.